Hey everyone, in this video we will be checking out a recent addition to the watch alley, and that is Grand Seiko's first ever boutique in Singapore. We will take a look at the watches that they have on display, and of course we will be trying on a lot of them, including some limited edition pieces. This boutique also has a private space for enthusiasts to enjoy and have a more intimate time with Grand Seiko's pieces. And for a limited time, they also have the GPHG winner, the groundbreaking and revolutionary Kodo Constant Force Tourbillon on display. So guys, remember to like and subscribe, and let's get on with the video. Here we are at Grand Seiko's first ever boutique in Singapore, located at Marina Bay Sands, right where the watch alley is at. The boutique has a very minimalistic style design with bright tones and a zen-like feel to it. It is very spacious. And before we get onto the watches, let's have a quick history of Grand Seiko. Born in 1960, Grand Seiko was introduced to the world to challenge the status of Swiss watches, showing the capabilities of Japanese watchmaking, innovating and developing their own movements like the spring drive, combining mechanical and also quartz to produce a smooth sweeping seconds hand, and more importantly achieving an accuracy of only +1 second a day. Another signature of a Grand Seiko watch is they take a lot of inspiration from nature, and you'll see a lot of that in the dials. And lastly is the high polish finished, or how Grand Seiko calls it, Zaratsu polishing, and that results in a mirror-like finish. So let's now try on some watches, and we will start off with this is the SBGW295. This watch is a limited edition of 500 pieces, created to celebrate Seiko watchmaking's 110th anniversary. This watch is a recreation of Grand Seiko's first watch in the 1960s. The dial is of black lacquer, and the text, the hour hands, the indices and everything else on the dial is of pure gold powder, and the case is in Seiko's brilliant hard titanium in 38mm. Another unique feature of this watch is the strap incorporates a traditional Japanese weaving technique called Yoroi that was once used for making samurai armor. This watch has a manual wound movement caliber 9S64. This watch retails for 20,000 Singapore dollars, and at 38mm it's a little bit too small for me, and I think for that amount of money I could get a lot of watch from a different brand. And I think this watch is mainly for those that will appreciate Grand Seiko's history. So let's move on. Here we have the SLGA 009, and right away the first thing that captures your attention is the dial, the beautiful white textured dial that represents the white birch tree forest near the studio in Hsinchu, where all Grand Seiko spring drive watches are crafted. And while you admire the details on the dial, the next thing that captures your attention is of course the smooth sweeping seconds hand, that nice touch of color on the all white dial. And of course the smoothness of the seconds hand is only possible due to Grand Seiko's spring drive movement. Let's see how it looks and feel on my wrist. At 40mm and a lug to lug of 48mm, on my 6.5-inch wrist I am able to just pull it off. And with this watch you get a spring drive movement, 5 days power reserve, a textured dial, everything that is signature to a Grand Seiko watch. And the only downside I would say is probably the price tag, but other than that this is a really nice watch, but not as nice as this one. This is the same exact watch except for the dial. This is the SLGA 021, and just take a look at that dial. That is simply breathtaking. This one is the Lake Soa edition. The dial represents the surface of this body of water when the gentle waves waft over each other, creating a moment of tranquility. Pair that with the smoothness of the sweeping seconds hand, and what you get is truly something special. Next up is this SLGA 015, and this is Grand Seiko's dive watch. And they are not really known for their dive watches, and you can see why. I think they have quite a bit more to go. The case size is 44 millimeters with a lug to lug of 51.5, so definitely not the smallest watch and not the most wearable diver. I think they have quite a bit more to go. And now for the highlight of the video, or at least for me, because prior to entering this boutique and trying on Grand Seiko pieces, I've never really been intrigued by their watches and I didn't expect much. But after seeing these two side by side, the SBGA 407 and the SBGY 007, I think these two watches really showcase what Grand Seiko is all about. And I think they look best on a leather strap. This one is the SBGA 407, or more widely known as the Skyflake. You get a beautiful textured blue dial, and on some angles you can see the blue really comes alive. And then also the iconic power reserve indicator, which some really like and some don't. And then this one you also have a automatic spring drive movement, a really beautiful timepiece, and one of the classics from Grand Seiko, the SBGY 007, or otherwise known as Omiwatari. And this one is a manual spring drive movement. So for those that don't like the power reserve indicator, you get a clean dial, a more symmetrical dial, and a clean one, so you get to appreciate more of the dial. And this being a manual wound movement, so the watch is much thinner. And then you can see the beautiful movement at the back with the power reserve indicator also at the top. So if I were to pick one, I would probably go with this one, the Omiwatari. The simple subtle dial with a manual wound movement, so you get a slimmer case. But the blue on the Skyflake definitely is much more present. But let me know down below which one you guys like more and which one would you pick. Now, if you were to ask someone a watch when they think of Grand Seiko, they will probably say this watch. This is the SBGA 211, or more widely known as the Snowflake. This watch, I would say, was the one that got everyone's attention and people start to talk about Grand Seiko. So this one is an all-time classic and one of their best sellers for sure. We still have a few more watches to try on, and they have a lot on display, and I didn't really know which one to try, so I just went with whatever that catches my attention. And this brown dial with the brown leather strap, the SBGW 293 with a nice sunburst dial. And I think Grand Seiko watches look the best with a leather strap, but unfortunately because it's a leather strap I couldn't strap it on. But yeah, moving on to the next section of watches, and you can see they have a lot on display. But I only wanted to try on this one, the SBGW 287, and mainly because I saw a picture online of Paul Rudd, or Ant-Man, wearing this on the red carpet. And it's a really nice watch, really simple, my kind of style. You get time only, manual winding, so you get a clean dial, a display case back. There is really a lot to love with this watch, and it's also a burgundy color, so similar to my recent acquisition, the Reverso. So this one is definitely one of the nicer watches that I tried on today. This new boutique also has a private room for watch enthusiasts to have more of an intimate time with the friends and to enjoy Grand Seiko pieces in the comfort of a private space. And here you can also find some of the more higher end pieces and also collections from Credo. And both Grand Seiko and Credo are owned by Seiko. The difference is Grand Seiko offers the best of the Seiko watch range, while Credo is intended to compete with the finest European dress watches. So for example, the ones that you see right now, the open work style, these ones I think can go up to a few 100,000. So yeah, this one is a whole different world and a whole different level of watchmaking. And lastly, to the main attraction of this new boutique, this is the GPHG winner, the Grand Seiko Kodo Constant Force Tourbillon SLGT 003. This is Grand Seiko's first mechanical complication, and it combines the constant force mechanism and tourbillon as a single unit on a single axis, which is a first for a watch. Kodo also translates to heartbeat, and if you hear the movement of this watch, it is actually quite rhythmic. Unfortunately, this is only a display piece, but I will link you to a video that is quite comprehensive, and they actually have an interview with one of only 2 watchmakers that are allowed to assemble this Kodo constant force tourbillon. So guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Remember to like and subscribe. Take care, guys.